I was meandering. Yeah, meandering, deal with it, along the streets of San Francisco during a recent trip to the US and just munching on this vanilla and custard croissant. Or is it croissant? Anyway, I just love California. I love SF. Just seeing the sheer diversity of people here amazes me every time. I heard a couple speaking Cantonese, and then turned the corner and I overheard a woman on her phone speaking in Mandarin. Across the street, there was this Hispanic couple with their baby in a stroller. All these worlds, all at once. It brought me back to my own experiences living in the US, China, and Singapore. Everywhere I went, I dove right in. I engaged, I immersed, I even learned the languages, which was, to me, one of the best parts. Globalization, man. Even if you don't live or work abroad, just traveling in itself can give you that window into the world. I really have to get this out of my chest. I was out for a walk earlier, post dinner, and I got this email. We'd love for you to come down for an interview. When are you available? From this company that I really liked. You can imagine how I felt at that point, right? My heart was thumping big time. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? I gotta get back. I gotta get back. I was nearby my home, so I turned around and started to walk really quickly and eventually sped up to something of a jog, actually. I got home, I opened my inbox, and mind you, this process took roughly 4 minutes or so. And I saw another email. We're sorry, please ignore the previous email. Our AI had a glitch and sent it out accidentally. We're sorry for the inconvenience, and we know that you will understand. Okay, firstly, what the fuck? What a downer, right? Secondly, goddamn AI. Thirdly, you will understand? No, I don't bloody understand. I just thought to myself, man, what punks. Anyway, back to the episode. I've always wondered what citizenship really means. Maybe it's like an identity marker, I suppose. It tells you who you are, who you're supposed to be. Honestly, though, I think citizenship is a lot more complex in nature to just simply fit into a booklet, right? Into a singular bucket. But I suppose this could be a never-ending series. Who knows? I may just do one, given its complexity. Anyway, for this short episode, I invite you to think a little beyond the classic confines of the word citizenship. Years ago, I was in Hong Kong, having dim sum with a soon-to-be deputy general manager friend of mine. At the time, he was celebrating securing the job, and I helped, and he wanted to treat me to lunch. Midway through lunch, he asked me something. He said, "Hey Kai, what is your nationality? Your citizenship?" The question was so abrupt, I literally laughed out loud, a literal lol moment. And without even realizing it, I spat out a tiny piece of, I remember it was pork rib, onto the table. I thought about it for a while, and then I replied, "Me? Well, I'm a global citizen." I shared that I've lived and worked in multiple countries around the world, and divided quite evenly all throughout my life. He was in awe. But, this guy is in awe. Side note, this guy has 4 citizenships: Hong Kong, American, Canadian, and at the time we had this chat, he was getting approved for UK residency. I just remembered my jaw dropping when he first told me about that, and meanwhile, sadly, some people actually had to fight tooth and nail just to get one, while others are stuck with one that puts them in challenging situations every day. In my travels, for both business and pleasure, I've come across many situations, both good and bad, all in relation to my citizenship. Hey, I've even been discriminated in my own home country. Speaking of which, I was in Singapore a couple years ago, walking about in a mall when somebody walked up to me, stretched out her finger in a not-so-fun way, and shouted, "Hey you go back to your home country." I assumed this was one sad, anti-Asian young lady who probably assumed I was from China or Vietnam or something, who was with her group of friends when she spotted me. I looked at her, I was a little bit puzzled, a little bit shocked, but I smiled and I very meekly said, So that might actually be a little bit tough since I'm actually already in my home country. Anyway, you have a nice day, ma'am. I quickly walked away. I wasn't planning on getting attacked that morning. Another time, when I lived somewhere in the US, a nice gentleman referred to me as the yellow fellow. I looked at the guy telling me all of this, and I just said, hey, look, actually, I think you may have a misconception of colors, or maybe you don't really have a broad internal color palette. Most Asians, or Chinese in my case, actually belong in the beige group, or dark or light beige, right? Depending on the lighting at any given point of the day. I thought to myself, my God, I'd be concerned, if I had jaundice or something, if my skin was really yellow in color. The thing is, people are everywhere now. I think with globalization, hell, with the advent of flying, because frankly, crossing by sea is just too long winded, people working remotely, those that are living and working across borders, we're in a position now that everyone is everywhere. To identify negatively or persecute someone because of nationality or color of one's skin, that's just absurd on so many levels. And at any rate, what does citizenship really entail? Is it a physical passport, the color of your passport? Or is it when you sing the national anthem that one special day every single year? What defines citizenship? In our very borderless world these days, I think the lines are pretty damn blurred. I was watching a comedy special on Netflix about half a year ago. I can't really remember the comedian's name, but in it, he said, once you turn off all the lights, you don't see color. I think lights on, lights off, fuck it. We should never need to see color, one way or another. Fortunately, these negative encounters are the exception, at least from my own experiences. Most of the time, I've been met with curiosity and genuine kindness from people. When I worked in China, the US, even in Istanbul in Turkey, I felt like people were almost always curious to know more about my story, and for me, theirs. During a consulting trip when I was in Turkey not too long ago, I remembered finishing a morning run along the Galata Köprüsü, which is a famous bridge in Istanbul, and I was just on this random stroll trying to catch my breath when I found this quaint little cafe. I sat down, ordered a café or coffee, and then as the shop owner came out with my coffee, he literally struck up a conversation with me. And then his assistant came out and started talking to me. And I think almost within seconds, there was this elderly dude sitting at another table. He started to wave and said, oh, it's so nice to meet someone from Singapore. But it's one thing to have curiosity, and that, in a way helps to build bridges. Even speaking a bit of the language helps. And yes, sure, English is the so called global language, but you can't speak it everywhere. Prior to going to Turkey, I had to learn a little bit of Turkish because I wanted to blend in. I wanted to build rapport, not just with my clients, but with the people around. All these people, specifically at the cafe, the owner, his assistant, that old guy from the other table, they must have wondered how this small Asian man was speaking in Turkish. Now, I profess, I spoke pretty clumsily, right? It's not my native language. But the people that were talking to me, all of them lit up when they heard me speak because they knew, I think, that I was trying. And they were intrigued and they felt that I was giving them some degree of respect, and the connection was instant. Speaking of languages, once during a 10-hour layover in Nairobi, for context, I was traveling to Rwanda, I had this really fascinating encounter. I went to sort out a number one in the bathroom. I got done. I started to wash my hands, and all of a sudden, next to me, I hear ni hao. And it was spoken in perfect Chinese. So I thought, oh my God, there must be a Chinese person in the same bathroom as me in the middle of Africa. I thought, cool. I looked towards the direction of the voice, and I saw not a Chinese person, but a Kenyan person. And I had 10 hours to spare, so I started talking with him. It turns out he's a bathroom cleaner at the airport. The more I spoke with him, the more I found out about his love of languages and cultures. He was fluent in 3 languages: his native Kenyan mother tongue, Swahili, I believe, French, and English, and get this, twice a week he would attend a free Chinese language class in a local college. I thought, wow, but why Chinese? I asked. Well, he said, the world is getting smaller and smaller. Many Chinese come to Africa, and I want to be able to communicate with them properly. I was just utterly befuddled, amazed. And then eventually felt utterly ashamed of myself. Here I am, a so called, self proclaimed, effective bilingual from Singapore. Here is a guy who could speak to me in 3 languages fluently, and he's actively learning Chinese? After that encounter, I felt motivated to learn a third language, Cantonese, and then endeavored to learn languages of the countries that I visited. The richness, the fullness, whatever, of identity, the fact that I was able to live globally everywhere, just a little bit, but nowhere fully, all of it really made me feel like I belonged everywhere. Again, just by a little bit. Long story short, I guess I'm not surprised when I didn't immediately respond to that general manager friend of mine that, very quickly anyway, that I was a Singaporean. It was that I felt a sense of belonging, a sense of being global. Being a global citizen doesn't mean rejecting where you're from. Put it like this, it's like widening the circle of what you or people feel familiar with. All these years, wherever I go, I notice something. People care. To hell with citizenship or skin color or whatever, we're connected by the things that make us whole. Shared interests such as food, family, love, laughter. And you know what? The context may be different, but I feel the humanity that we have, that remains the same. So then maybe citizenship isn't just about a passport. It's about how we choose to belong wherever it is that we land. And by which I mean how we adapt and how we immerse ourselves into the respective life cultures, even if you're going to be in Spain for 3 days, even if you're just going to be transiting in Bangkok and Thailand for 6 hours. How we choose to connect with the people we meet says everything. Have you ever felt at home everywhere, but then nowhere at all? It's weird. A word actually came to mind: rootlessness. Yeah, I actually had to look this up eventually just to make sure that this was in fact a word. Anyway, sometimes I feel like a guest everywhere that I go. People ask me, where are you really from? But there's no simple answer. So I just tell them, honestly, I'm a global citizen.